All right. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Hope you are having a great day, great Thursday. Hope it's been a great week. We are in Charlotte, North Carolina. It has been gray. Dylan, I don't know about you, but like I'm ready to see some sunshine. So I hope that the weather has been nicer for all of you guys this week. Listen, we are gonna get started here in just a quick minute. People are sort of joining as we speak, so we're gonna let people kind of finish filing into the room. But while we're waiting, please drop in the chat. I would love to hear number one, what city are you joining us from today? So just go ahead and drop that in the chat. What city are you tuning in from? We got a Houston, Texas, St. Pete, a lot of Californias, um, Connecticut. Love that. Very cool. Very cool. Some folks from Charlotte. All right. Well, we are letting folks filter in here. The second thing I'd like you to do is I want to see what is the one word when you think about AI and just AI in general, whatever AI means to you. I want to see one word in the chat. How does it make you feel? What are your one word feelings towards AI, whatever that means to you? Wary, uneasy, excited. Yeah. Empowered, cautious. Yeah, I do think a game changing. Yep. I feel all that. Terminator, love that. I am very much in that boat of like, this is a game changer. This is really cool. But a lot of reason to be cautious, a lot of reason to be wary. But at the same time, opportunity, Frank, love that. Um, there's a lot here, right? There's a lot to get into, and I think all of this is all of these feelings are great. So with that said, we got a nice full room here. You guys feel free to drop questions in the chat. My team is on here. We'll do our best to sort of monitor and respond. But yeah, with that said, today we are talking about the opportunity that is ChatGPT. And I wanna tell you guys just up front. I'm sure you know this, but this is kind of the wild west right now. I'm gonna talk in a minute about, I really do see this as a generational opportunity and one of the biggest shifts that's happened in the digital marketing space for at least like the last 15 years. But with that comes, hey, there's a lot of change. I will tell you, our team has been paying a lot of attention for probably about 2 years now, and very highly invested in AI, both from a productivity standpoint, from a marketing standpoint. But I would never stand here and say, and I think Dylan would probably agree too, like I'm not calling myself an expert on this, and I would actually be wary of anybody who's calling themselves an expert on this simply because it is evolving so quickly. I will tell you, we've invested a lot of time and have a lot of I don't know, real life sort of insight around this. But just know, like things are happening fast, guys. I believe there's a rumor that ChatGPT version 5 is actually coming out today. Ironically enough, didn't plan this webinar around that, but like that'll change things, right? So just know this thing is happening fast. One other piece here I want you guys to know. This webinar, we are focused on ChatGPT as a marketing channel, right? ChatGPT and the other AI platforms. There are lots of ways to use ChatGPT, in your business, right? From a productivity standpoint, maybe some of you use it to help, research, draft, whatever. So many valid ways to use it. That's not our focus today. Our focus today is how can you get traffic, leads, clients from ChatGPT because that is very much in play. So, in terms of what we're going to cover, we are going to talk about just the opportunity that ChatGPT represents from a business development perspective. We are going to talk about how your potential clients are today, right now, using ChatGPT to find a lawyer. We're going to talk about how ChatGPT decides to make its recommendations, right? This is the $1 million question, literally, right? How is it making its recommendations? How is it answering questions that folks are asking? We're going to talk about, well, you're going to walk away with an action plan, right? If you've been to my webinars or my workshops or books, I'm very big on, I want you to walk away with an action plan. So you will get an action plan that can make a measurable difference and help you get clients, traffic leads from ChatGPT. And I will tell you about how our team kind of behind the scenes can help you make some of this happen. So, does that sound good? Go ahead and hit one if you're excited, if you recognize the opportunity that ChatGPT presents for your law firm. Um, and we're gonna get going. Before we do, just a quick introduction for those of you who don't know me. My name's Danny Decker. I'm a co-founder here at Spotlight Marketing and Branding. I have been in this space for 15, 16 years. I've written a couple books. One is called Marketing Simplified, and the next is called The Automatic Marketing Machine. I've been in this space for 15, 16 years, and I share that because we're about to talk about, how big of an opportunity and how big of a game changer this can be. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I've not seen anything close to this magnitude in the time I've been in this industry. I've also really excited. I twisted his arm and I was able to get Dylan Stebbins, who is our superstar director of operations here at Spotlight Marketing and Branding. He's been leading the charge in a lot of the sort of behind the scenes. How do we make ChatGPT work for our clients? So, Dylan, thank you for being here. Really appreciate your time. Do you want to just give a kind of a quick intro, who you are and kind of what you
Yeah.
do?
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Danny. Obviously, don't have to do too much introduction because Danny knocked it out of the park there. But yeah, I'm the director of ops here at Spotlight. Involves just kind of a lot of the execution of when we meet with you guys, when we meet with potential clients, kind of bringing home what our clients are looking for. But a lot of that has definitely involved ChatGPT. A lot of it has involved finding ways to be more efficient, finding ways to improve our content, finding ways to make content that ties more directly to what our clients' goals are, rather than kind of doing it all from scratch. It's been a huge efficiency piece, which I did see a lot of comments. People were using efficiency as a word, with ChatGPT. It's definitely kind of a primary driver for us. And it's been a blast to get to know this. As Danny said, I agree. This is the most game-changing piece of advancement, technology, whatever you want to call it, in marketing in my lifetime, in my career. So I'm really excited to see where it's going. Obviously, it's evolving, and as he said, I'm not going to call myself an AI expert either. I don't think anyone really is there yet. Maybe someday we'll get there because, it's new. Even if it's only, it's still been here for a few years, it's still very new to all of us.
Yeah. No, Dylan and I were joking before this started. It's so new that there's even disagreement in terms of what do you call it, right? Like, what do you call the process of trying to optimize your business for ChatGPT? A lot of folks like us are using GEO, right? Generative Engine Optimization. There are others that think it should be called AEO. AIEO. We've heard a bunch, right? And so we are just at the ground floor of this, which, as a few of you pointed out, creates opportunity, right? It means there is as opportunity. So for those of you who are here with us live, I'm excited that you're here. I'm glad you recognize the opportunity. Karen, yes, we will share a link for to this recording. Not sure exactly when that will go out, but you will get a link. Happy to do that. Guys, as Dylan and I are talking through this information, feel free to drop questions in the chat. Do our best to kind of address them as we go. Before we jump into it, though, I do have two questions, and I want some input from the group on this. One, how many of you are personally using ChatGPT, let's say at least a couple times a week? Just drop a one in the chat if you are personally using it at least a couple of times a week, right? That's us too. And honestly, I had a huge eye opener. I don't know, it was just a couple of weeks ago. We were talking with our team and, asking, just asking everybody else, like, hey, are you guys using this instead of Google? How much are you using it? And it's just the amount of like the percentage of people that are using ChatGPT instead of Google is staggering. And it's kind of like once you start, like, why would you go back? And so then the second thing I want to ask is, what are some of your favorite, like maybe less obvious use cases for ChatGPT? Not confined to the marketing arena. Like, what are some of your favorite like discoveries? And I'll give you an example for me. I was at the doctor a couple months ago, and doing annual physical, got my blood work, and they give you this printout that has all these numbers and readings, and it's like, and the doctor adds a little bit of context here and there, but I didn't know what most of it meant, and it's like you take a picture of it, upload it to ChatGPT, and I got like an incredibly like thorough breakdown of like what every single number meant. Um, Deanna, meal planning and calorie counting, love that. Jerry,
Yeah,
broken
I,
heart counseling. That's a fun one.
what
Um,
Kristen said was exactly what I was going to touch on is the home design piece. Like my wife and I just bought our first house. We repainted our bedroom, we redid our kitchen, doing a lot of different stuff to it. But all of that, I kind of previewed our ideas, what we wanted to see using ChatGPT, and honestly, things have turned out similar to what we were getting out of that. I think it's a great use of it for sure.
Yeah, love that. That's so interesting. I never would have honestly thought of that. Vacation planning, awesome. Miranda, I know you commented earlier that you're getting some clients already from ChatGPT. That was another eye opener for us too when we realized in the last several months our clients have been reporting the same. We here at Spotlight have been getting inquiries of people that found us starting with ChatGPT. So that's sort of a perfect segue here. Um, I wanna start here. This really is a generational opportunity for businesses and for law firms specifically. And for those of you who have maybe been reading my stuff for a while, have read my book or listened to podcasts or anything, I am generally very, very resistant to bright shiny objects. I think that there are a lot of bright shiny objects out there that distract law firms, that distract business owners. There are a lot of marketing companies that sell services that they sort of present as like a magic bullet, right? That will just fix everything, and it's this bright shiny object, and we push back against that because generally speaking, marketing fundamentals that are true today were also true 20 years ago, were also true 200 years ago, right? And the channels change, the technology changes, but the core principles don't change, right? So we are very resistant as a general rule, or very cautious to bright, shiny objects. What I will say though, and Dylan, I know you and I have talked about this too. Um, there are, in my view, there are three clear, massive like landscape shifts that have happened in digital marketing over like the last 30 years, right? And with the first going back to, the late 90s when search engines first became a thing and and people first started using the internet to find law firms, right? Obviously, that totally changed the game. And then for me, the second was really the emergence of what a lot of people call, Web 2.0, which was when, very user-friendly social media platforms started to emerge. And, obviously MySpace kind of led the way. Dylan, I don't know if MySpace was before your time. Were you on MySpace,
I
Dylan?
was very much on MySpace.
Yeah,
I
me too.
love
And I don't know,
yeah.
I wasn't a marketer back then, so I don't know if businesses were using MySpace to market themselves, but certainly with Facebook, and beyond, that was huge, right? And then to me, this is on that same level. This is clearly a massive, massive change. I think it's, the second or third most significant thing that's really ever happened in the space of digital marketing. And there's something I want to point out to you guys, and maybe this is obvious. Um, with the first two things that I mentioned to you, right? The emergence of search engines and the emergence of social media, there was a sweet spot for a few years where you could really capitalize organically just by being there, right? By doing some basic work to get SEO optimized before the whole world jumped into it, and doing some basic work on Facebook before ads were even a thing, right? There's this sweet spot of a couple of years before everyone gets into it and before these platforms start selling ads. And if you are in at the ground floor, like you can, I mean, it's life changing. And so, I'm really personally excited about this because frankly, in my professional career, I haven't seen one of those opportunities come along yet. And to me, this is one of them. Dylan, do you
Yeah.
have any
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
I wanted to add, we have conversations with clients. I've had these conversations, and people here have had these conversations with clients where there's a bit of trepidation. They're like, this has been out for a couple years now, but like I don't really understand it. I haven't used it. I don't really know a lot of people personally that are excelling on it. That's probably because they're not asking about it directly. And they're always like, is it ready yet? Is it ready to do what I need it to do? And I kind of the way I look at that is I know Danny mentioned how many people are shifting from a Google search to an AI search. I know it was recently said ChatGPT has more monthly visitors than Wikipedia now. Um, and I think about it in the sense that say I go to if I'm at the gym, I'm gonna look at people that look like they've been at the gym a lot for kind of tips. What should I be doing at the gym to get better myself? In this case, it's where are the smart people at? And you look at this, this is one of our most highly registered for and attended webinars we've ever had. And a lot of smart people are on this webinar right now. You guys work at law firms, you're lawyers, you're assistants, you're doing a lot of stuff in that legal field. A lot of smart people are gravitating towards this for good reason. I mean, I know we had a lot of comments about the way people are using it, and I think a lot of smart people are just getting really creative, taking this opportunity. And getting at the ground floor is going to mean when all those other people catch up, when that second wave comes of people that are ready to do this, you're already going to be 10 steps ahead of them, just excelling and flying and doing what you're doing with this kind of incorporated into your day to day
Yeah.
already.
Yeah, love it. Jamil, great question. We are really this webinar is primarily focused in on ChatGPT specifically. We will do follow-up webinars. We will get more into Perplexity and some of the others. But ChatGPT from our research and our informal conversations is where we see ChatGPT, and I guess I would also say Gemini, are probably the two likeliest. Sources of leads for law firms at this stage. And I personally have not spent as much time in Perplexity, but that's very much on the radar screen. So listen, a couple quick stats, then we're gonna drive into how to do this. You should know that ChatGPT is getting at least 1 billion daily search queries. Depending on estimates, because a lot of this data is private. Like you'll see people that are some that say somewhere between 1 and 2 billion searches per day on ChatGPT, and ChatGPT has been around a little over 2 years. Okay, for context, it took Google 10 years to get to the 1 billion daily search benchmark. All right. And Google was not exactly a slow moving company, right? Google is about the most meteoric rise of a company that I've ever seen. It took them 10 years to get here. It kind of blows my mind that ChatGPT has gotten there in 2 years. Okay. That should give you a window into just the like massive sea change that is happening here. Conservatively, and this is a conservative estimate, 10% of traffic that used to go through Google organic search is now going through ChatGPT and other AI platforms. So before our very eyes, the way that people find lawyers on the internet is drastically changing. Several of you on here have mentioned that you are already getting clients from ChatGPT. Would you just drop a one in the comments if you are getting clients, if you're getting web traffic, if you know that people are finding your law firm through ChatGPT? I'm really curious, whether or not they're necessarily becoming clients. Would love to hear, is ChatGPT driving traffic to your website, generating leads? A lot of you are chiming in on that. At Spotlight, we get inquiries through ChatGPT too. Okay, so like this is very real, and it's only growing. So with that said, let's talk about how consumers are using ChatGPT to find legal help. Okay. And I'm going to get real specific here. I would divide this into roughly speaking two use cases, right? There are people who are jumping onto ChatGPT simply to ask a question. Okay. An example is, and I'll read you what matters here. I know this is maybe a little bit small and hard to read, but my question here was, what are the first steps to filing for divorce in North Carolina? And ChatGPT gives me a very long and thorough answer, right? Maybe it's accurate. Probably it's accurate. Maybe you guys could comment more on whether it's actually accurate. But bottom line, a lot of people are using ChatGPT in this way. So they're not necessarily explicitly showing up and saying, "Hey, I need a lawyer," but they are saying something like, "Hey, how do I file a will? How do I file for divorce? How do I get a patent?" Right? And then ChatGPT spits out an answer. And I'm sure the vast majority of you who are here have probably used ChatGPT in this capacity, right? One of the points I want to make that's really important is ChatGPT doesn't answer the same way every time. We actually just informally, among the 20 or so of us in our office here, I asked everybody at about the same time to go ask a specific question, and we compared notes on responses. And I mean, Dylan, it was all over the board, right? Like we got very different responses, even though we all asked at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. It'll know you a little bit based on your history and all that, but it's also just it's not programmed to just spit out like when I get asked this, I need to say this. When this comes in, it's a thinking, it's learning, it's going to adapt, it's going to change, which is why it's important to kind of be on this because as it changes, you want to be a part of that change. You don't want to
Yeah.
get left behind and have it adapt beyond, what you're doing.
Exactly. And so, for example, this second question, I asked it, what are the first steps to filing a patent in North Carolina? And it gave me a similar, like, 7 or 8 step answer. And then, but also, this time it decided to include sources. Okay. And these are all, federal USPTO websites, right? It gave sources. I didn't ask it to include sources, it just included sources this time. It also closed by saying, if you'd like, I can help you find a registered patent attorney in North Carolina. And so I respond and say, yeah, sure. Please help me find a patent attorney. I prefer an attorney in Charlotte, North Carolina. And this is the money part, right? For whatever reason, these are the first two that it shared with me, right? And it shares firm name, firm website, which you can click and link directly to. And it shares some information about the firm, which is a really interesting part of this. Like you're generally going to get more information when you ask ChatGPT for a recommendation than when you ask Google, right? Because you just don't have as much space on a Google ad or a Google listing, right? So here, even though I came in asking a question, I ended up getting a couple of specific recommendations with links. Okay, that's kind of use case number one. Does that make sense to everybody? Give me a one if that makes sense. Again, I'm sure this is kind of the main way a lot of you are using ChatGPT. It's the main way I'm using ChatGPT, right? Is asking questions. Okay. Um, the second, use case as it matters for business development is when you are asking for that specific recommendation. Somebody dropped in the comment that, they're getting traffic when someone asks for the best family law attorney in their city, right? And so this is an example, right? So here I popped on and said, "Can you recommend a high net worth divorce attorney in Waterloo, Canada?" And Waterloo is a suburb of Toronto. We have a client out there, and it gave us an answer, and it listed for whatever reason here it decided to list 4 different firms. Number one, Musson Law is a client of ours, which is very cool to see that this stuff works, right? So she pops up, right? Then I asked, the next day, just a similar question with a little bit more, nuance to it. I said, I live in Oakville, Canada. I'm thinking about getting divorced. I own a business. I have a pretty high net worth, and I'd like to work with an attorney who specializes in high net worth divorce. Can you recommend somebody? Boom. She's the only person it suggests. We've got a website link this time. We didn't have that in the previous question. And then it gives some more detail, which is super interesting. It talks about how, she is one of the top divorce lawyers for clients with significant business and financial assets, known for discretion, financial savvy, strategic representation. It gives more information and a link, right? And then same day, I asked, okay, I'm in Oakville, Canada. I need to find a divorce attorney. I'm looking for someone who is very cheap. Can you recommend a couple of options? Gives me a totally different list. Cool, kind of seems obvious. Google generally doesn't do this. And for those of you that struggle with, you're getting clients who can't afford you through Google. You're not getting the right types of clients through Google. ChatGPT can help the right types of clients find you. In my case, Anna Marie wants this call and doesn't want this call. And ChatGPT is smart enough to recognize that if you feed it information that allows it to understand that. Okay. So this is use case number two. This is when you're actually asking for a recommendation. And this is probably, the bigger deal of the two, right? Because it's great if your blog is part of how ChatGPT answers a question, but what you really want are those recommendations. So here's a suggestion. Maybe some of you have done this. If you pull up Google Analytics for your website, you can do this now, you can do this later. And if you choose referrals, you will see a listing of your top referral sources. Uh, Speaking of website traffic here, right? What are the websites that are referring traffic to your website? And in this case, this is one of our clients. This was about a week's worth of data, and there's 12 hits from ChatGPT, right? And I'm not saying that's a huge number. I'm not saying it's a small number. It's just a number. But the point is, all of you, most of you, if you went and looked in your Google Analytics right now, you may already be getting traffic from ChatGPT, and you may not realize it yet. And if you're not, just be aware that, from just some digging around in our clients' websites, we manage, close to 200 small law firm, not necessarily websites, but digital marketing platforms. And, most of them have some level of traffic from ChatGPT, right? This is very, very real. And it doesn't, and there's no ad spend in this.
Yeah. And I think what Danny is showcasing here is a pretty good example of why ChatGPT and other AI searches are so different from Google. Google acts like a digital librarian. It's basically like you have a question. Here's a bunch of books that, obviously links, but here's a bunch of books that might have the answer in there. Like one of these is probably going to have your answer somewhere in it. Just go ahead and do your own thing and read these books. Whereas ChatGPT is like, I read those books and I know the more context you can give me, his initial question there wasn't a ton of context to it. It was just, can you give me a lawyer in this area? But then you're like, hey, here's some detail about my situation, what I'm looking for in a lawyer. It's going to give you a little bit more specific information. And also, it's going to address what you're saying. If I ask it that I want a divorce attorney in Oakville, Canada that specializes in military divorce, it's going to tie in. It's going to tell you why did I pick this client, this potential law firm for you. What about them made me want to tell you that they're going to be a good fit for a military divorce? And so that the more context you can give it, the better. You don't have to give it context. It can still give you good results as we see on the left that you can just ask it a blank question. It'll still give you good results. But the more context you give, the more it ties it directly to what you're looking
Yeah.
for in your circumstances.
And to Dylan's point, if you use ChatGPT regularly or any AI platform, it gets to know you and it gets to know your preferences and it will make personalized recommendations. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the prediction is, because AI is going to tie into Alexa and Google Assistant and all of these, we're going to get to a point where you're just going to say, hey, order me Chinese food, and the AI in Alexa is just going to choose for you based on your preferences. You're not going to have to tell it which restaurant, right? Hey, just order me some pizza. It's going to know what you like. And so that decision, though, from a business perspective, is massive. How can you be the business that ChatGPT sends the business to? And we're going to get into what you can do from a marketing perspective now, but sort of one overarching point that's really important here is you need to be putting out content on your website, on your blog, and really talking in more detail to the right types of clients for your law firm, right? If you want to attract high net worth divorce clients, you need to have that messaging on your website. And you need to have resources for high net worth clients. You need to talk about it. You need to have blog entries written for them because ChatGPT is going to know. They're gonna learn over time my personal preferences, and they're going to be making recommendations based on that. And so, super super important that you on your website, on your social media, Stacy, yes, it can pull from social media posts. Grok does that in real time. on X. I think ChatGPT Pro in deep research mode does pull from social media posts. I think ChatGPT Basic um, does not pull from social media posts in real time. But the short answer is yes, social media posts are going to feed into these recommendations. And so the more you can talk about, and position yourself for the right types of clients, the better the chances are that you're going to have the right types of clients finding you through these platforms. All right, give me a one if this makes sense. Give me a one if you're with me. I am going to talk about really the important question now, which is, all right, so we know billions, at least 8 billion people every day are using ChatGPT to ask these questions. And as it pertains to law, they're really doing it in two ways. They're asking for legal, they have legal questions, right? They're asking for some step-by-step information, and then they are using it to ask for recommendations. So how does it answer? This is not something that we can do full justice to in 5 minutes. It's not something I could do full justice to, period, just because it is deeply complex and a lot of it is actually confidential. But the big platforms, right? Gemini, Grok, Perplexity, ChatGPT, all function slightly different, right? And so ChatGPT, which is kind of that's what we're focused on today, is trained from a variety of data sources, right? And I say trained because ChatGPT Basic in its current iteration is not actively crawling the live internet in the same way that a search engine does. This gets confusing because ChatGPT Pro can do that. And a lot of people are on ChatGPT Pro. Also, ChatGPT 5, which is apparently coming out today, is probably going to use the live web. So this is all changing fast, but ChatGPT is trained from public websites and it gives a lot of preference to public websites. If you guys think back to that example I showed asking about the patent process, it had four sources. All of them were the USPTO, right? So it is going to look at government websites. It's going to look at credible media websites, but is also absolutely 100% pulling content from private websites, right? From individual businesses. There was language on those examples that I showed you when it was recommending law firms from those law firms' homepages, right? So it is absolutely pulling from, websites, from your website, from our website. ChatGPT is pulling from forums like Reddit and Quora. Dylan, I think you and I were talking about this. Reddit is maybe the sort of most cited forum on ChatGPT. Does that sound right? Is that what you told me?
Yeah, Reddit's definitely number one, just because a lot of those conversations are happening more actively. I mean, there's a lot more users there, and there's a ton of stuff on Reddit, like what we showed you that people are doing with ChatGPT. People are also going to Reddit and saying, "Hey, I need a lawyer." They're using it as their community, their neighborhood. They want to know, "I need a lawyer in this area. Anyone have any good experience?" So to that end, like if you can have people, clients, past clients talking about you on Reddit, that's a huge bonus. Or people with the firm can also do the same, because Reddit is definitely a strong source for ChatGPT.
Yeah, exactly. Stacy, how can we add info to Reddit without breaking our bar rules? I don't know, like I don't know what the exact rules are in your state, right? And they're different in all 50 states, but I can't imagine a scenario where um, you know, honestly answering a question on Reddit is going to create issues. And the best way to feed ChatGPT through Reddit is not going and making posts, right? It's not going and like creating a thread. It's answers to popular threads. So I
Mm.
wouldn't look at it as you know, going and posting a bunch of content. I would look at the opportunity more as maybe somebody on your team is, on your local, like there's a Charlotte Reddit subreddit, right? And every once in a while you will see questions about, a family law firm and answering that question. And you could put in parentheses like, yes, I own this firm and yes, this is advertising. Um, and to Jerry's point, see a lawyer as a good general response. But yeah, this is obviously evolving quickly. I do not want to tell you go use Reddit in exactly this way, but I will tell you that ChatGPT is leaning heavily on Reddit comments and Reddit threads as part of how it answers questions. It's also pulling from video content. ChatGPT and other platforms do have the ability to transcribe and add video content, right? Even if there's not a transcript provided, it can decode and pull video content into its answers. It pulls blog content into its answers, right? There are many different data sources. Some platforms, Gemini, ChatGPT Pro, are also, in addition to whatever it was trained on, the training happens once. But some of these platforms are also crawling the live internet. Okay. And I get that this is like a little bit murky. But like, for example, ChatGPT 4 was trained on a specific data set several months ago, and that data set is not updated, right? Unless they behind the scenes do something that they're not telling us about. It was loaded and it was trained and it was set loose. And but Grok, Gemini, certain versions of ChatGPT also crawl the live internet. My advice here is assume they're all going to be doing this eventually, right? So don't get too caught up in, well, when was ChatGPT, 4.0 trained? Just assume that the vast majority of these AI platforms are going to be crawling the live internet, and some of them are already crawling social media, some aren't, but they're going to get there eventually, right? That is 100% the track that we're on. Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's important, like if you do get traffic, if you get phone calls, emails, whatever it is from potential clients or people that are just asking questions that come to you from ChatGPT, be prepared for that. Be prepared for the possibility that they're using just the basic public available version and that there might be some outdated information. It is kind of funny sometimes because it is stuck in a static point in time until eventually, as Danny said, they probably will change that. So you'll ask it certain questions and it doesn't know the actual answer to that because it was trained on, say, April could have been the cutoff. I don't know what the exact cutoff of ChatGPT 4 was, but it could be a cutoff months ago. And there was even a point where it was cut off before the election. So it didn't even know the election had already taken place. So if you're asking it questions related to that, it has no idea who the president is, or it assumes that the president is still whoever used to be, kind of thing. So just be prepared for that. Be prepared that they might have a little bit of outdated information when they do come to you.
Yeah. Um, in addition to what we just talked about here, so there's a whole lot of content that goes into, educating these AI bots, right? So how do they prioritize it? They use something called trust signals, right? They are doing their best to determine how accurate and reliable this information actually is. So what do those trust signals look like? From what we have seen, government sites are highly prioritized in the legal space. When you ask a question like how to get divorced, how to file a patent, how to get an EB-5 visa, things like that, and then you ask it to cite its sources, it is almost always pulling from state judicial websites, federal websites. When possible, it seems to look at government sites first. Um, Similar to search engines, it does matter to ChatGPT when a bunch of other websites link to this one web page, they assume that there is a level of credibility and accuracy there. So links from third-party sites is part of it. We have seen, depending on the type of question, recent content is more important. Um, Obviously, when it comes to things like current events, but like as a general rule, ChatGPT likes fresh content and seems to prioritize fresh content. There are some really interesting things that Dylan and his team have sort of dug into, which is the format of your articles, your pages, your blog entries really matter. Dylan, I'll let you. Do you want to kind of explain these next few points? This is kind of something that you pulled from your research.
Yep, yeah, it definitely prefers a more conversational tone. I know we haven't touched on SEO yet, but SEO was a lot of people were cramming keywords because they were just trying to catch the attention of Google. Whereas ChatGPT wants to look for things that are going to be formatted in a way that's a little more conversational. So typically, in an ideal world, your title of your blog, your title of your content is going to be a question. If it's not going to be a question, it should be conversational. So we're not saying that every single blog post you have or every article on your website needs to be a question. More often than not, I would say that it should be. But if it's not going to be a question, it should be conversational about the subject that you're
Right.
actually
So instead of saying,
discussing.
five steps to get divorced in North Carolina, say, make your title, quote, what are the first 5 steps to getting divorced in North Carolina?
Yep.
Question mark. For whatever reason, formatting in that way is gets you more likely to get cited on ChatGPT.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And then the executive summary portion of that is you've all seen it. I think most of you might even know what it is. A lot of, especially with modern attention spans, people want a quick answer, and ChatGPT is going to appreciate that. ChatGPT is going to connect to that. An executive summary is before I even get into reading this article, it's going to tell me, hey, this is what's in the article. It might even tell you from top to bottom all the pertinent information that's going to be in that article. But it can also just be like a, hey, at first we're going to tell you that this is what you should do in step one. This is what you should do in step two. It's just a summary of what they're about to read. It shouldn't be a replacement for people reading the entire article. It's more of just a, hey, prepping you for what's to come.
Yeah.
ChatGPT loves that. The format matters so much because scrollable content is going to be really important. It needs to be able to read it clearly. It needs to be able to understand what it's actually using as a source before it recommends it. Um, and it's not just the title of your blog either. The other headlines, typically the first two, are also going to be important. Those don't have to be questions necessarily, but again, absolutely should be conversational now.
Yeah.
Whereas before, we were kind of getting away from that with SEO and the way people were trying
Well,
to trick
yeah, and
engines.
I was gonna say, and that's like a really important thing to understand is that, there was a time with when you were optimizing content for SEO when like you were trying to stretch a 3 sentence answer into 1,000 words of content because
Yep.
that's what Google wanted.
Hmm.
Um, ChatGPT is really looking for the opposite. It is looking for give me the executive summary, give me the main idea. If you want to go ahead and then use 500 to 1,000 words to answer the question, go for it. But that's not what ChatGPT is looking for. It really is looking, kind of to your point, Lisa. Yes, I don't think there's a coincidence that the type of content that ChatGPT spits out is similar to the content that it uses to like train itself, right? Or that people use to train it. Okay, so the format of your content really matters. And we are in a minute here, guys. I'm going to get even more specific and we're going to talk about how to make sure it's your firm specifically that's getting recommended. But just in general, right, helping to hopefully, pull back the curtain on this a little bit. There are also some technical pieces that are important. If you don't have an SSL certificate on your website, that is a major like don't trust me signal that's gonna hurt with getting you listed on ChatGPT and also in the search engines, right? So you want to have an SSL certificate on your website. Most websites today do. So you type in HTTPS colon backslash right, and you can check and make sure that you have that on your website. But an SSL certificate is really important. It's important that the data on your website is structured in a way that ChatGPT can understand. I'm not a super tech wizard, but you want to have your data scheduled, structured correctly. You want to have we use a plugin that basically does a schema markup, which is sort of some behind the scenes code information that just makes it easier for ChatGPT as well as the search engines to understand what they're looking at. If you're missing these components, your content is not as likely to be trusted by ChatGPT.
Yeah, and
Also, go ahead,
schema
Dylan.
I know is a phrase that a lot of people aren't familiar with. It sounds a lot more technical than it is on the surface. Um, we we don't want to stop people from being creative. We don't want people to think that like they have to do what everyone else is doing, kind of thing. That's certainly not what I'm saying. But say you're a divorce attorney and you're like, well, everyone calls themselves a divorce attorney. I want to be a relationship transition specialist, or I'm going to get really weird with it. If you're going to do that, your schema in the back end needs to tell these engines, what is this page? So if my practice area is, relationship transition instead of divorce, which I know is not a real thing, I'm just making it up for the example. In the back end of your website, there should be something that says this is a page about divorce, in this region, kind of thing, rather than what you've decided to call it. I would recommend you just on the surface still calling it, what it actually is, regardless. ChatGPT needs to be able to look at your website, scroll your website, and see what it actually is looking at. So if you get a little bit too quirky or a little bit out of the box, it can impact this negatively. So there's other areas that obviously we can still
Yep.
be creative as well.
Yep. Awesome. Okay. Give me a one if you're still with me, if this is making sense, if this is helpful for you guys. We're now going to hop into really the money question, right? Which is, all right, awesome if ChatGPT is citing your blog entries to answer questions, but like, how does ChatGPT decide which law firms to recommend? Okay. Here is what we are learning. Okay. Here's what ChatGPT is looking for. And by the way, Gemini and Grok and Perplexity, all similar, right? And after this, you're going to get an action plan. This is the stuff that really matters the most. One, you need to have accurate and consistent contact information across your business listing. So this is going to include like your Google My Business profile. If you have if you're listed on legal directories, it includes your social media sites. You want to make sure your name is listed the same, right? And a lot of law firms over the years change their names slightly. It's got to be consistent. It needs to be consistent on your Facebook page, on your Google My Business. If you have an X account, if you have a LinkedIn account, all of your public profiles, you need to use the same name, and we call it NAP, name, address, phone number. Use the same name, address, and phone number everywhere. This is super easy to do, obviously, but if you have inconsistencies, ChatGPT is going to be confused. It's probably not going to cite your business. If it does, it might use an old address or an old phone number or an old
Yep.
name. So it's
Yep.
super important all your profiles are accurately and consistently updated.
Yeah, we've done some troubleshooting with clients on this very issue because we've more than ever in our history, we've had clients that are like, I'm getting calls about practice areas that I don't do anymore. Like I used to do real estate, but I don't do that anymore. And I'm still getting calls about it. Why? And I'm like, well, we built you a website from scratch and we don't mention real estate anywhere on this website because we built it from scratch and you weren't doing that. So we're like, why is this happening? That's when we learned about this. We can Google it. You look at the state bar website, you look at, Justia, FindLaw, any of those sources. If ChatGPT sees that you're mentioning the wrong practice areas, the wrong contact information, any of those inconsistencies, it's either going to feed the wrong information or it's just going to skip you because it's going to be like, I can't trust this source. I don't know if this source is the one that I'm looking for. It's going to pass on you. Or people are going to get results from ChatGPT that tells them, hey, this person does real estate law
Yeah.
in this region. So
Yeah.
definitely be on top of this and kind of look, and we can also help with that.
Miranda, it's a great question about masking numbers. Different like call rail functions differently than some others, right? Most masking tracking numbers should not impact this. Now, you would not want to use a masking or like a call rail number and list that as your primary phone number on Google My Business or Facebook or anything like that. But as long as what's happening is like a dynamic replacement on your website, this shouldn't affect you. But it is very important that your actual profiles all have the same phone number. Okay. High quality original content on your website is important. And we talked about, I talked earlier about why it's really important that you are speaking to your ideal clients and that you are including the types of information that may be relevant to them when they're deciding to hire a lawyer. For example, if you want to work with high net worth divorce clients, talk about high net worth divorce and make sure you use that language a lot and you create resources and you gear your site towards those clients. Another example, if say you're a criminal defense attorney, white collar, criminal defense, and maybe you're a former prosecutor, right? If that is a piece of information, the fact that you're a former prosecutor, if that's a piece of information that might be relevant to your ideal clients, make sure you call that out in your website content. Really, really important. Again, third party links, whether those are social media links, whether those are directories, whether those are articles, whether you're interviewed in a newspaper, all of this is a credibility signal for ChatGPT. And so you want to get links from social platforms, links from media websites, if possible. Press releases are a good way to do this.
Yep. In your own, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, like your own linking can help. So like when you publish content on your website, you shouldn't just kind of sit back and be like, all right, let's let ChatGPT work. Go on social media, share that blog, share that, website link, whatever it may be. get members of your firm if they're able to and they're willing to post about it on LinkedIn or other places. Your own linking can kind of be a little bit of a cheat code for this as well.
Love it. Positive reviews are important. Reviews have always been important. They're even more important now because ChatGPT is absolutely looking for both a good volume of reviews and also, positive reviews. If you've got 1.8 stars on Google, that is going to ding you in ChatGPT's eyes. Okay, this next one is going to be a little controversial. Um, Pricing information is important. You want to have some level of pricing information available on your website because one of the questions that is constantly being asked of ChatGPT is how much is this going to cost? Now, I know it's not as simple as just putting a dollar figure out there. I know there are many variables that affect pricing for law firms. You should have a page on your website where you're speaking to pricing. You can give a range. You can say, on the low end in North Carolina, it may cost you $3,000 in legal fees to get a divorce. And on the high end, it might be $25,000. And here are a few of the factors that impact where you're going to end up. Having some conversation around pricing on your website is important. It will give you an advantage. And again, you don't have to be uber specific. You don't have to quote a flat rate. Just have a discussion on your website about pricing. How much is this going to cost? This is something that, if you have this information, it's going to be very helpful for Chat GPT. Jamil, contingency fees for for PI firms. Yeah, explain how it works. Maybe is there a range of your contingency fees? Just listen, just answer the question. When somebody asks how much does it cost to work with you, answer the question. And if the answer is, hey, there's contingency fees and they range from 30% to 42%, and here's why it could be 30%, and here's why it would be 42%, break that down.
To answer both Nina and Deanna's questions, I would say both. I would recommend a pricing page, a static pricing page that you're updating. But you can do blogs, and we've had clients that have asked about it, where we're explaining contingency fees. With what Jamil asked about, we can explain what that is to people. I know some laws, like some states have laws that give you a range for that say, hey, if you're doing this type, then the contingency fee is this percentage, sort of thing. You can explain that. And yes, Paula, if it's expensive, um, that's definitely still something that you want to talk about. I mean, at the end of the day, these people are going to find out eventually what your fees are if they get that far down kind of your client funnel. So you still want to be
Yeah.
transparent about it,
Yeah.
but you can also say why it is or what it is that you guys do that makes what you do expensive.
Bingo. Explain the value. Like if to Dylan's point, like you're not going to be able to hide it forever. And if the fact that you are more on the expensive side, turns off some potential clients, well, honestly, let's let them find that out up front so they don't, take, gum up your sales machine and only to eventually not be able to pay for it. Include a range. Include a range. Winnie, you constantly change yours. That's fine. Include some level of information about how, what it's going to cost. And if that means, again, a range, totally fine. But I'm telling you, this is what people are asking for, and ChatGPT is going to like it and like you more if you give them some answer to that question. Another piece of this is you want to have an about page and you want to do this on your website. I mentioned this earlier. You really want to be sure you're highlighting your key selling point. So if you're a former prosecutor, if you have, 20 years of experience and you think your clients care about that, right? What I would do is literally sit down and bullet point out all of the reasons why a client, your ideal clients, may choose to work with you. And you want to make sure that that information is on your website prominently. Okay. Because again, you don't know exactly how ChatGPT is going to choose to answer the question. And it may answer it differently if it knows that I am looking for, white level service, right? Like, white glove level service, then, make sure your content makes it clear that that's what your law firm prefers or provides, right? And if you are low cost, efficient, talk about that. Okay. We're going to keep moving here. Fresh content is really important on your website. This is where like regular blogging is really important. If you have won awards, whether that's Super Lawyers, whether that is an Inc. 5000 award, right? Whatever you can do to showcase your credibility is valuable. ChatGPT pays attention to it, include it on your website. Like I talked about a minute ago, you need to have an SSL certificate on your website. That's important. It's pretty easy to do. You need to have your data structured properly on your website. Okay. Dylan talked a little bit about that. I'm not going to get into the tech side of it now. But you want to have a schema markup. You want to have your data structured properly. And it is important that you have a site load time aim for under 2 seconds per page. All of this is going to increase your chances of being the firm or among the firms that ChatGPT recommends. Give me a one if you guys are with me, if this is still making sense. I am going to give you an action plan. Okay. What I suggest is screenshot this when we get to the end. I'm going to attempt to kind of take the information that we just talked about and give it to you in a format that you can get to work with right away. So if you've got questions as we're going here, this is a great time to ask. One is make sure your social profiles, including Google My Business, have consistent, accurate contact information. Two is use your social media channels actively. Okay. You should be posting regularly. And you should be including links back to your website, right? This is a way to increase the amount of links you have pointing to your website. Three, you should be regularly. I would love for you to do this once a week, once a month, kind of at minimum. Publish blogs that are answering the top questions that your PNCs are asking. We created a resource. We did this for, I want to say, 5 or so practice areas. Mike, if you can drop these links in the chat, these are the top questions that consumers are asking ChatGPT around business law. I think we have family law. I believe we have immigration. So listen, you can do this research on your own if you want to, but we're also right now dropping a link. This is not something you have to, pay for or sign up for or anything. It's just a PDF you can download that's going to give you some ideas of prompts that you can use to create blog content, right? Because again, you want to be answering the questions that your best prospects are asking. If we didn't include your practice area and you want us to, you can shoot us an email. It's solutions@spotlightbranding.com. And if we get enough requests, PI is a great one. If we get enough requests, we'll put a few more of these together. I think criminal defense is on there, Paula, and Joel, family law is definitely on there. So you should be publishing blogs that are answering the questions that your PNCs are asking. And remember what Dylan said about formatting. Put the question in the headline, give a little executive summary, then write the blog. Okay? You should be creating FAQ style video content and social media content. Take the same list of questions, right? Download the PDF that Mike just shared. Take that same list of questions, write a blog entry, then create a social media post, then pull out your phone and create a 30-second video answering the question. Okay. This is how you get your content out there, indexed on ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini. Okay. This is how you do it. You create the content. Okay. You got to ask clients for reviews. I know a lot of you have been doing this. It's always been important. If anything, it's even more important. Ask your clients for reviews. Okay. Create web page content that speaks to your ideal clients. We talked about this. This is really important. Your homepage, your about page, you should make it very clear who the best clients are that you want to attract to your law firm. You should create resources for them. You should speak to them, right? Then ChatGPT is going to know what types of people should be recommended your way, who are going to be good clients for your firm. Include pricing information on your website. We may have to do a whole webinar about this, and because there were a lot of good questions, but you need to include pricing information on your website. Karen, it's important to respond to a review. One, it just shows, it sends the signal that you're paying attention, you're engaged. If they are negative reviews, there are multiple reasons why it's valuable to respond. It gives you the chance to sort of correct the record in a graceful way. At the end of the day, many smart people have concluded that ChatGPT wants to see responses to reviews, and so that's kind of why it's on the list. If you've won a Super Lawyers Award, if you've been featured in the Inc. 5000, um, that stuff should be on your website. Take 10 minutes, look back at the awards you've won over your career, make sure they're on your website. Okay. Quick and easy to do, really important. The technical checklist, I've gone over this a couple times. You need to have an SSL certificate on your website. If you're not sure that you have an SSL certificate on your website, just shoot us an email. We'll check this for you. It's solutions@spotlightbranding.com. Jana or Eddie, would you mind just dropping in the chat the email address that folks can use if they want us to check this for them? Um, Again, it's solutions@spotlightbranding.com. You need to have a schema markup. That's something that is relatively easy to do. And your site speed really matters. Okay. This is the action plan. You want to have a privacy policy as well. Forgot that. Boring piece of information on the bottom of your website. Nobody ever reads it, but ChatGPT wants to make sure that it's there. So screenshot this. Um, Again, this stuff changes every day. This is evolving fast. But if you are consistently doing what I've got on this screen, you are going to be well ahead of the curve. Okay. So take a screenshot. We're also happy to share this recording and share these slides if you have questions. All right. That is the action plan. So one, if there are some specific questions, I'm happy to answer them right now. Two, I told you at the beginning, we offer a service that does 90% of this for you, right? This is kind of core bread and butter, what we do here at Spotlight Marketing and Branding. If you would like to stick around for another 5-10 minutes, I am happy to kind of walk through what that looks like. I will share pricing information, kind of walk you through what it looks like. Go ahead and give me a 1 if you want to see that information. And if we get a few people that are interested, I will run through that. And also, if you've got some questions, go ahead and drop them right now. All right. Getting some ones, awesome. Lisa, glad it's been helpful. Deanna, glad that you love working with us. We love working with you too. All right. So that said, here is how we approach this, right? Again, we have been focused on this pretty hardcore for 2 years since ChatGPT came out. And in the last 6 months, we've done a real deep dive into how do we work this into digital marketing services. Nina, we don't mainly work with law firms in Canada. I just shared that as an example. That's a law firm that we've had a lot of success with. The concepts that work in Canada work in the US as well. So
Yeah.
here
Yeah, I just want to
is,
answer V's question real quick because I saw
please.
sorry, I don't know, asked above as well. If you're not using coding that's like preventing it from being indexed, like if you're just, I'm not going to put it on, like I'm not going to put a link to it on my homepage, that's fine. It will show up in AI. But if you use any type of coding to prevent it from being indexed, ChatGPT claims that that wouldn't be part of their crawling, but some people have claimed to like also see that that's not necessarily accurate. But as far as what ChatGPT claims, if you're doing it for no indexing, it won't show up. If you're just not putting a link to it somewhere, but still have it on your website, then you're good to go.
Yeah, awesome. All right. So here's how this works, guys. We have been focused hard on the AI side of things for the last couple of years. We have been in this space for about 16 years. We've worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of law firms, and one of the things that has allowed us to do is really zero in on what is the right type of marketing for a law firm at each stage of growth. Because the reality is, a small law firm under $500,000 in revenue has a very different marketing budget than a law firm doing $3 million of annual revenue. And so, what we have done is built solutions that make sense for law firms at each revenue stage. And what's cool about that is because of what I just showed you with blogs and social media playing a large role in this AI optimization piece, we are able to, even at low budget packages, pull a lot of these AI best practices into our services. So here's how it works. This isn't going to take real long, but I want you to kind of understand how this works. So firms who are under $500,000 in annual revenue, relatively limited marketing budget, Best practices, you want to spend, depending on who you listen to, in the neighborhood of 10% of revenues should be invested back into marketing if you want to grow, right? So we have built these packages with that in mind, and with the understanding that you also need some marketing budget to invest into, your marketing team, or maybe you're running some local ads, or you want to sponsor a local, golf tournament, right? So our starter package is one blog per month. It is written as we just described in order to appeal to the not only the search engine, but more importantly, AI platforms like ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini, right? So headlines are phrased as questions, executive summaries included, right? So you get one blog a month. We do one email newsletter per month. Haven't talked about that on this webinar. As much as we love AI, referrals and repeat business are still an amazing way to grow your law firm. And so, yes, even though we are focusing on AI, we are also sticking to the fundamentals, and an email newsletter is a really important way to stay connected to your network, right? This includes 5 organic social posts per month, a lot of links back to your website included in these. It includes basic SEO, right? Designed to get you ranked on Google. It includes what we just talked about as far as GEO, right? The content that we create is aimed to get your law firm recommended, indexed on ChatGPT. Okay. This is a $14.50 per month investment. And depending on where you are in that under $500,000 range, that's going to represent somewhere from about 3% to 7% of your total revenue, which is a good area to land on and still have a little bit of resource left over for other marketing. Okay, the Grow package is aimed for firms on that next level between 500,000 and a million in annual revenue. It includes some of the components of the starter package, right? It includes a custom blog. It includes a newsletter. We do a quarterly rainmaking email blast. This is an email that goes out to your whole list designed to drive referrals, drive new client opportunities once a quarter to your entire email list. It includes more organic social media. It includes retargeting. And again, we've talked about this in other webinars, but we're using Facebook ads and LinkedIn ads to retarget and reach your email list over and over again with the content that we're creating for you. It includes basic SEO. It is built around the GEO principles that I just talked about. And the investment here is $24.50 per month. And we also, because now we've introduced paid ads, recommend a $250 ad spend, very minimal ad spend, because all we're doing at this point is retargeting. And again, this is going to represent somewhere between 3 and 6.5% of your gross revenues. Okay. Next package, Scale, for these firms that have crossed the seven-figure threshold and are really looking to put the pedal to the metal and grow. Okay, now it's 2 custom blogs. It's a newsletter. It's a rainmaking email blast. It's organic social media. It's retargeting. The big piece that we have also added is lead gen. So here we are running Facebook ads. We are running Google ads. We may be running LinkedIn ads, as well as drip email campaigns. So you've got your AI funnel working, you've got your Google funnel working, and now we are adding in paid ad platforms like Facebook, sometimes LinkedIn, depending on your client avatar, and sometimes Google ads. This still includes basic SEO, still includes GEO, and is priced at $39.50 per month. And yes, you're going to want to have a larger ad spend. If you're doing paid social, we recommend about a $750 per month ad spend. If you're doing Google search, we recommend kind of a suggested minimum is about $2,000 a month. So you now need to include that ad spend. Even with the ad spend, that still puts you in that 2.3 to about 6% range in terms of percentage of revenue. Okay. Last package, for those firms that are larger, 2.5 million and up, it's more content, right? More content aimed at search, aimed at generative SEO, right? Aimed at ChatGPT. It's more newsletters. It is more organic social media content. It is still lead gen advertising, but now we're doing, more campaigns, right? More campaigns, more platforms. It includes drip email marketing. It includes advanced SEO. It includes GEO. And the investment there is $59.50 per month. similar suggested ad spend. And this puts you, if you're at the 2.5 million in revenue, this puts our services at about 3.3% of revenue. Good question. How many keywords are included in your basic SEO? Our basic SEO is not built around a specific number of keywords. Our advanced SEO includes not a specific number of keywords, but it's a customized kind of individual. We do an audit. We talk to you. We kind of figure out what, basically we build a keyword list and we build a strategy to go after it. Basic SEO is more about optimizing your blog content, optimizing your social media content in order to make sure that when people search Google for your law firm or when they go to ChatGPT and ask for a recommendation, we want you to show up. So these are packages. This is basically how it works. Obviously, there's a level of detail we'd be happy to get into a little bit deeper. But basically, if you're under 500,000 in annual revenue and you want to grow, the start package is built for you. That next level, it's the grow package. We're now introducing some retargeting. We're introducing more in advanced email marketing. More content helps you do better on the ChatGPTs and Groks of the world. The scale package is for those firms that have broken the $1 million threshold and dominate. You're really a market leader and you're looking to grow. There are a couple a la carte add-ons. We have a service where we will actually send a videographer out to your law firm and create video FAQs for you. We will help you come up with the list of what those FAQ topics should be, and then we will film them for you. We will publish them for you on your website. We'll make sure that they're formatted properly so that ChatGPT is going to be able to access them, right? This is a big part of how to show up on ChatGPT. A website is a $6,500 one-time fee, or if you are doing any one of these monthly packages with us, we actually reduce that by 50%, so it's $3,250. Websites include all of the all of the SEO best practices, GEO best practices that we just talked about. Our websites, Stacy, are built on WordPress primarily. We have a service called the Brand Film, which we haven't talked about here, but it is a cinematic quality video that really tells a compelling story about your law firm, why your ideal client should hire you, and it is $8,450. That's how it works. Happy to answer any questions. I want to share two more pieces of information and then still happy to answer questions. I know quite a few of you are still hanging around, so happy to answer any questions. The first is a quick start bonus, and I'm going to be super transparent. We are not about creating fake scarcity, okay? If you want to work with us today, awesome. If you want to work with us next week, that's cool. If you want to work with us in 3 months, we will be here, right? We have been here for 15 years. We're not going anywhere, okay? So you can work with us when you're ready to work with us. That said, it makes our life easier if we don't have to follow up over and over. If you already know you want to go forward, right? It is easier for us. It's easier for you. It allows you to really get in on the front end of the AI wave. So if this is something you know you want to do, if you know you're ready to move forward today, we actually have a few bonuses that we'll offer you. The first is, again, if you do know you want to do this, you're ready to move forward today, we will include the video FAQs at no additional charge. Okay, that's a $250 per month value. We will just include that, no extra charge. Second piece is we will give you, if you want to do a new website with us, we will give you a $1,500 credit towards that new website. That brings your cost down to only like $1,500 or $1,600 for a brand new custom built website. Happy to show you some examples of our websites if you want to see them. But bottom line, a new website not only written to brand you as an expert, to be attractive to your ideal clients, but also with all the bells and whistles to make sure that your website is being indexed by ChatGPT, right? Really, really big deal. Third bonus, if you want to go forward today, we will do a mystery shop of your law firm at some point over the next 90 days or so. We will actually reach out to your firm posing as a new client. That gives us the opportunity to evaluate your intake system, give you feedback, and just kind of spot those opportunities. If we're successful, if your marketing is working, you're going to get more phone calls, you're going to get more inquiries, and And wouldn't it be nice to know that your intake system is in good shape? Nina, yes, we take pride in the fact that our brand videos are, I will put them on quality standards up with anybody. Yeah, and it's not 60K. So thanks for the feedback. Okay, so if this is exciting to you, if this is something you want, um, we want basically to be able to get the ball rolling before 8 p.m. tonight. Um, you can reach out to Jana if you don't mind dropping that email address, solutions@spotlightbranding.com, if you want all the details and you want to get started. Or you can just drop your email in the chat, and Jana and Eddie will be happy to reach out to you. Last piece of this, because I get it. It's kind of crazy to sign up for something like this the first time you ever met us. Some of you, this may be the first time you've been on here. You've maybe been burned by marketing agencies in the past. Completely get it. So we also have a 14-day guarantee to basically give you the opportunity to really get to know us, get to know the sort of professional approach we take to all of this, and how we communicate, so you can feel really comfortable that you made a great decision. So if you do sign up today and you do the following three things, right? This isn't, this is, we need you to contribute. We need you to be invested, so that we can build a great partnership together. So as long as you do the following three things, the first being attend your onboarding call. This is where our team is going to ask you questions about your ideal client, help us get a clear picture of who you want to attract. So we need you to attend that onboarding call. We need you to work with our team to help us get clear on the exact type of clients that you want to attract to your law firm. And we need you to share your email list so that we can get your email marketing platform built out, right? That allows us to start sending those email newsletters. That allows us to do the quarterly rainmaking blasts. And so as long as you do those three things within 14 days, if you decide, hey, you don't like how we communicate, if you don't feel like you made a great decision, we will rip up your contract, refund your first payment, and let you on your way. So anybody who wants to get started with that, this guarantee hopefully creates some peace of mind. Feel free, reach out to Jana at solutions@spotlightbranding.com or drop your email in the chat, and we're happy to reach out to you. With that, would love to see a one if you got some value out of this. And if you've got any questions, I am happy to stick around. Dylan, I know we went a little over time, so
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know if you've got a couple quick minutes, but
Yep.
any questions related to ChatGPT, related to sort of AI platforms, or related to our services as I just laid them out for you, very happy to answer them. So we'll hang for another minute or two and see if there are any last questions. Um, Awesome. Glad you guys got value out of this. How do you suggest, Stacy says, how do you suggest training AI platforms in terms of uploading docs? I'm not sure I fully understand that question, Stacy. Dylan, do you understand that? Do you want to take a crack at that?
Are you saying, Stacy, that like you want your ChatGPT, like when you log into ChatGPT, you want it to know some information, so you're uploading documents into it so it knows, like, kind of updates its memory in that way? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Stacy, while you're responding to that, Karen, um, Karen, thoughts on whether we should have a separate website for different areas of practice? My question for you, Karen, is do you have different client avatars? Um, if if your services are related, right? If like family law and estate planning, which kind of often go together, you can do that in one website. If you are trying to offer low cost divorce services through one brand, okay, so estate planning and personal injury. I don't actually think that there's a right or wrong here. I personally, depending on the size of your firm, Karen, um, I would probably lean towards still one website with a separate page for estate planning, a separate page for PI. As you grow, I don't know what your marketing budget looks like, but those are separate enough that ultimately I would like to see those as separate websites. Um, and that matters because you want Google, you want ChatGPT, you want your ads, you want to be able to zero in on the exact right types of people that we're pulling to each website. And there's a big difference between PI and estate planning, right? So in an ideal world, eventually those are separate websites. Until you are probably a multi seven figure firm, I don't think you have to do that in order to get there. So hopefully that helps a bit.
Yeah, and to kind of just add to that just a little bit, the only time like I would say like maybe recommending that, like we've had clients where it's like, hey, we're doing this, but eventually we want to branch into just this. Feel free to get ahead of that by creating, hey, we just want to do personal injury now, separating them in that regard. Or if you're just like, hey, we want to get some traction, we have clients who they have technically what would appear to the public to be multiple firms. It could be, Stebbins Law Firm, and we do family law and all this other stuff. But then I want to focus on family law separately, and I might do like North Carolina Family Law as my law firm. Again, terrible name, but just throwing these out there. Sometimes it can be used as a means to generate more interest or more clients for that specific service that you're offering, or it can be kind of a prep for a transition of, hey, we're going to get away from estate planning. Let's just do a personal injury site. But as Danny said, I do think there is no real right answer to it as just a regular practice. Um, and then Stacy, to answer your question, I don't believe there is any like a way that you can necessarily like, feed documents into all of the AI platforms or even individual platforms to tell it like, hey, I want you to incorporate this into your research. I think part of the reason they don't allow that is because then people could kind of mess with the programs a little bit. We saw that with Grok when Grok was in its early stages, people were able to kind of get it to say some crazy things. I know it still says some crazy things just by repeatedly feeding it certain phrases, information, and all that. So they don't let it do that.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, this is great. Appreciate the back and forth, guys, and Dylan, thank you for your participation. This was awesome. Karen, yes, happy to pull up the pricing page here. But listen, I want to leave everybody with this. Like we said at the beginning, this is a generational opportunity. I really believe it. I have not said that before. I am frankly excited that this time I get to be around and sort of part of it, right? I didn't have a marketing company when Facebook came out or when Google was invented, right? So big opportunity here. We would love to help each and every one of you to dominate ChatGPT, and take advantage of sort of this early opportunity, whether it is our firm, whether it is you doing it yourself. This is really important. I applaud the those of you who stuck around, who asked questions. I encourage you to keep learning. We will continue to share information around AI and around these topics. We'll do more webinars as things evolve. But let's take advantage of this, guys. This is cool. I think in 20 years we'll be telling our kids like where we were when AI platforms like became a thing. Maybe it'll still be ChatGPT. Maybe it'll be something totally different. But big moment. Let's not miss it. Again, if you want our help, if you want to move forward, if you want the bonuses that I just shared, go ahead and email us at solutions@spotlightbranding.com or just drop your email in the chat, and we'll reach out to you. With that said, Dylan, any final thoughts before we wrap up here?
No, I mean, I think just I encourage everyone to be excited about this. It is a whole new thing that's going to change our lives forever. I mean, the next generation is going to have a whole different perspective on what this is than even we do. So don't be afraid of it. Be excited about it. I mean, use it however you feel comfortable. I think being here is a huge plus. You're here to learn. You're trying to find out what is this new thing. I'm very excited about how many people showed up and were engaged in talking about this. So thanks so much for everyone who showed up and stayed engaged.
Love it. Dylan, thanks. Everybody else, thanks for being here. Thanks for the interaction. Reach out to us if you have questions. We are here to support. Have a great day.
Yep. Have a great day, everyone.